And yes, I think now we are live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a very special session today. My name is Saurabh Nanda, and you are watching this on the SN Mentoring YouTube channel. Well, yes, today I think now we are live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. That was the confirmation that we're live because the YouTube channel just started speaking. Well, thank you for everyone, joining in today. What we're going to do today is we're going to discuss something very interesting, very new, actually, for a lot of people here. This has been there for some time, but not in the manner that we are going to introduce it today. What we're going to talk about is how Indian students can now have access to a US high school diploma, how they can study not only their subjects in their Indian curriculum, whether it be CBSE, ICSE, or any state board or NIOS, or if they are also following any international curriculum like the IB or the Cambridge A levels and so on. And on the side, along with that, how can they also pursue an American high school diploma? Also, we are going to talk about how they can pursue completely an online American high school education. What are the advantages of it? What are the different nuances behind it? And to explain all that, we have today some wonderful guests with us. I'm going to introduce all the guests one by one here, and I'm going to ask all of them to also, say a couple of lines about what they do and introduce themselves. So let me begin in the order in which you saw in the social media graphic as well. So we have Subhayu Ghosh. He is a very passionate educator, and we've been, working together for almost 2 years now. He's the founder of the Future Global Academy, based out of Florida. Subhayu, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Saurabh. Yeah, thanks. It feels flattering. But yeah, I was just trying to make up for my bad schooling days. So yeah, that's me, Subhayu. I go by Sub. I'm more of a very hands-on person. So yeah, I started my career pretty early, mostly into tech and product. Yeah, I love coding. I love creating things, creating products. And yeah, I thought that, pretty much quite passionate about student education and hence the FGA journey.
Excellent. We'll get to know more about that today in this session. Next, we have Brian, and Brian Morris is from the Citizens High School in Florida. He manages a lot of things for them, actually, primarily a lot of relationship building, and he's the director of partnerships as well. So, Brian, we'd love to know more about you.
Thank you all. It's very nice to meet you all. My name, as been introduced here, is Brian Morris. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships and Initiatives here at Citizens High School. For those of you who are not familiar with Citizens High School, we've been around for 40 years. I have not been with the school for 40 years. I'm not, barely that old. But it was bought by Dr. James Etter back in 2017. That's when I came on board, and he, you might be familiar with that university. He was the founder of American Public University Systems and American Military University, which at the time or currently is the fourth largest online university in the United States. So we've decided to go to the high school version and launch that. My main area of specialties is in international education and giving students all across the globe the opportunity to earn the finest education in the world. And I look forward to today's event and answering any questions you have.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Brian. We're really looking forward to learning more about your experiences in this field. Next, we have Roseanne Perez. She is the principal of the Future Global Academy in Florida. We've had, I've had the privilege of speaking with her a couple of times before. We've had long conversations about, a lot of things which high schoolers need and middle schoolers and so on. So it's always been fun, and I'm so happy to have you on this forum as well, Roseanne. And looking forward to having deeper conversations with you, like I've had as well. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. I'm very humbled. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Perez, as he said, principal of Future Global Academy. I spent over 16 years in education, leading schools, building career academies, which is my passion, and helping students discover their pathways and that connect their learning to their future. I'm also a mother of four and a grandmother, actually. So I understand the hopes and concerns that families have when looking for education for their children, especially in today's global and competitive world that we live in. FGA with SUBA was created really to bridge the gap between what we can provide students with access to high quality US-based education that's flexible, relevant, and aligned with real world opportunities. So I'm super excited to be here today.
Excellent. And then we have somebody who's known very well in the Indian education counseling system, and generally in the Indian educators ecosystem. Bharat Mundra, who is the director and founder of Indo Bharat Online School. He has been running this online school, a pioneer actually in the field, which offers the NIOS curriculum, that is the open schooling curriculum from India. Bharat, welcome, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Saurabh, for the introduction. Grateful to be here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. This marks a very important step in our online school venture. We've been doing the NIS curriculum. We've been helping out so many students out there, and of course, having the US High School Diploma under our hat, extends our services to more students out there who would be requiring this kind of curriculum. I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to help more students out there, and we look forward to interacting with a lot of counselors, with a lot of high school leaders. And I think this is an incredible opportunity. And this webinar was actually needed because we've been reaching out to so many people out there, just telling them that how we've been trying to help students. And I'm pretty hopeful that everyone's going to gain a lot from this webinar today. Thank you so much once again.
Excellent. All right, guys. So here we are. Let's begin the conversation. I see many more people joining in. Jaskira, Deepthi, please make sure that more and more people are able to join in. I'm going to give you the rights as well. I request all the participants to please put your questions in the chat box directly, so that we can get to them when we have the Q&A round. How it's going to go is, we're going to have a very general discussion about what we're trying to discuss here. And any questions, please feel free to ask. And, if you want to ask one of the particular guests, that will be amazing. Or we can direct the questions as in when, it seems feasible. Okay. So I would like to start with Subhayu. Subhayu, why don't you, help us set the context a little bit about this, and then we can understand a little bit about FGA, and then, bring in Brian and understand about CHS and how FGA and CHS work together. And, then we can take the conversation forward from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, happy to. So, yeah, basically, I think it's relevant to share a personal story with all of you. I think it's pretty relevant why I started FGA, why I created FGA. Yeah, I had pretty other interesting money-making idea. This is not one of them. So this is a purely a social effort to bridge the gap between, as Dr. Perez already mentioned, bridge the gap between academics and the career world. So yeah, honestly speaking, I did horribly in school. My teachers with dementia also still remembers my name, so you know how good or bad I was. And the reason, when I reflect upon it even today, the reasons are very simple. I think all of us can somehow probably will relate. One is there were a bunch of subjects. I didn't know what I want to do in life, right? But I knew exactly what I don't like. And there were a bunch of subjects which I did not like. And every day I had to study them. So that was one. And then there was only one subject that I loved, mathematics, right? Don't judge me, but that's what I really love to do. And but the teachers were very, let's say, not very interesting, right? So the way they would teach the subject is not pretty good. So overall, I had nothing to look forward to go to school, right? So that's one. And then I joined careers pretty early, at the age of 18. I chose to kind of start working pretty early. And then what happened is, yeah, I excelled thanks to a deep learning, self-learning, right? A lot of certifications that I had to do. So I understood the value of learning, but from a different angle. And also, it was very clear that there is a huge gap between academics and, like, I didn't learn C++ in school, unfortunately, and that's what earned me my first bread, right? So likewise, I had to continuously keep learning and continuously evolve. So I thought that, okay, whatever I was missing in school, let's kind of bring that forward and let's bridge the gap. So a school where there is complete flexibility, nobody is forced to do something that they do not like, and they are very clear, right? Second, there will be no boring teachers for sure. There's no boring curriculum, highly engaging, right? And these are some of the reasons why we chose. We discussed nights, hours, days, months, years. Promise me, I see a head nodding, Dr. Perez, like years discussing whether we should go for an on-site school or a virtual school, right? And finally, based on all of these criteria, we decided it should be a virtual school. And then we were also clear that we are not a center of academic excellence, we are a center of career excellence, and we wanted to be that way. So we chose industry certifications, and not all road needs to go through a university. Not all career needs to go through a university, right? So for those professional careers, we became the school of excellence, and that was the vision of setting up the school, right? And that's all me. However, now coming into kind of from the FGA perspective, looking at things, from a career angle, but there are some careers that do need to go through universities, right? And we did not have a good solution for it. And we always believe in being the best. And if we are not the best, then partner with the best, right? And that's where Brian Morris and Citizen High School comes into the picture. So yeah, Brian, over to you.
Yeah, so really what I want to just do is give you guys a high-level overview of Citizens High School. Just the key points to really kind of take away with. I know I mentioned a little bit about this when I was introducing myself, but Citizens High School has been around for over 40 years, and we have always been a distance education school. Now, I know in the early 80s, there was no internet, or it was in this very primary state, so there was no online learning, but we were still distance educations. We were a correspondence program. And then in 2017, Dr. Eder, myself, Andrew, we went on a mission to make high-level, high-quality, private online education available to all. And that's our goal. That's our mission. And with the goal of that, of changing socioeconomic status for future generations, really changing the status quo. And we've done that. We service now we're servicing around 4,000 to 5,000 students a year. And these students come from all different walks of life, from all across the globe. We have all of the credentials. We are a state of Florida registered private school. We are accredited regionally accredited by the Middle States Association. Just like y'all are probably familiar with Cognia. This is just another regional accreditation, just like Cognia. We also have national accreditation, which is DIAC, and then NCAA. So if you have any student athletes, NCAA, all of our courses are approved for NCAA, and we do assist those students in getting their eligibility for the colleges. And so we have serviced, I think, 29,000 students since we started the school. So it's been quite the journey. We provide students a wealth of knowledge across all levels. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But whether you're looking to be a computer scientist from Romania or study law from India, we have that opportunity for you. And so now I'm going to turn it back over, and we're going to talk a little bit how that partnership kind of came together with Future Global.
Excellent. In fact, I would now like to invite Dr. Perez and ask her as well as to how was your switch to from a brick and mortar kind of a setting, a physical campus to working, and then almost being leading from scratch this development of a new school, and then also seeing that there are these amazing established institutions like CHS over there. So what has your experience been so far?
Absolutely. And I just want to clarify that I came from the business world just like Suba. So I was not in education at first, but when I transitioned from the financial industry into education, I saw the biggest need for the lack of connection to the business world. So my passion in schools was definitely to build programs and academies that would really get the advantages that what was out there, and partnership was number one. So partnering with the industry to see what is the workforce that they need and how can we meet them at the school level. So bridging that gap was absolutely essential. And like Suba said, this is not only about the career pathways or the trade school. We can also connect the students to universities and colleges, but it's building that curriculum to fit the student, not the student fit our curriculum. So that is what makes us super different. And I'm super passionate about building that and finding students like Suba that didn't really like school, but helping them find the purpose in life. Yeah.
Excellent. So I had a question before we actually get into more details, and I know Subhayu has an excellent presentation for us now. See, in India, we still view a lot of things which are online as not the preferred choice. So I started my counseling business in 2020, especially because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But there's this question always asked on a daily basis to me: don't you have an office? Can't we visit you? Right? And then, so don't you get those questions? What is the acceptance of an online school in with the people that you have worked with? Are they ready to just take on, and they're like, yes, let's go for the online schooling? Or do you have to do a lot of convincing, and you have to alleviate a lot of questions and doubts?
I think going back to the partnerships, I think is important because even within where the students are located, they can join clubs and other home-based families that will be able to help them. And like Suba said earlier, project-based learning is super, super essential. So it's not just taking a virtual class, but you're also meeting and also brainstorming with other students nationwide.
Excellent.
Yeah, I want to touch on that point as well a little bit. With Citizens High School, we recognize that. And there's differences between brick and mortar learning and online education. But you can utilize technology to bridge that gap. One of the things that we've just done over at Citizens High School to help bridge that gap in two ways is the integration of AI chat into the courses. So now a teacher, and now I know some teachers probably don't feel this way, but they need to sleep. They got to get some sleep in. So you got to allocate some time, and students learn, especially now that we are such a global economy and a global education system. You're going to have students where they're not going to have a faculty member available to them. So we can utilize technology based off of time zone difference, based off of different schedules, to have academic support available to those students 24/7 to really kind of help a student learn at the time that's best for them. Additionally, we have students that are learning different languages all across the globe. These AI bots, they speak hundreds of different languages. So students are able to have that support available to them. And that's the difference, I think, where we're talking about bridging the gap between virtual and brick and mortar, is utilizing that technology to kind of overcome those different areas or those different obstacles or challenges that students may have when it is about learning virtually.
Wow, that's an excellent answer. So, welcome to the new members who have joined in, participants who have joined in. We are talking about Future Global Academy and Citizens High School. They are online schools based out of Florida. And today we are going to discuss how Indian students can access, US high school diplomas. So now, what we have discussed so far tells us that there is definitely a dynamic shift which is happening in the world, and online has its own advantages, which we are going to talk more about in the coming session. And we have Subhayu, who is the founder of FGA. We have Dr. Perez, who's the principal of FGA, and we have Brian representing CHS as well, and we have Bharat, who is representing IBOS for the NIOS curriculum in India. Okay, so Subhayu, should we begin the presentation then?
Yeah, sure. And while you were asking about the online versus can I share something personal again? Like, so this is from a student perspective, not from an educator perspective. So when I was in school, and by the way, before starting FGA or while we are starting FGA, I interviewed and did a research on 6,000 students. That's quite a big database. And this is sharing some of the research findings also in this community. So around 99% of students, including myself, and I can kind of resonate with me, it resonates with me. They said that learning happens maximum at home when they're alone, right? And the fundamental process, the cognitive process of learning is very personal, right? That really is the essence of the thing, right? But education is a social process. So stay with that for some time, right? So is the essence of it, right? So if you have to learn, and that's why private tuitions are very relevant in India, right? They say, hey, if you have to study, go to a tutor. If you have to, for everything else, there is school, right? So that's clearly the advantage of online versus brick and mortar. You need to get your cognitive skills, you need to get your soft skills, so as to say, your social development. All of that is fundamental process of human connection, right? But studying, I think fundamentally, at least from my perspective and all of those voices of 6,000 students that I've heard, is a very personal. So I just wanted to add that. Yeah.
That is very true,
Okay.
actually. So should we? Okay, all right.
Yes. So I think maybe I will quickly give an intro and then over to Dr. Perez, who's the expert on this. So essentially, this slide would help the counselors understand the different education systems around the world, right? And hopefully break some myths as well. So without further ado, Dr. Perez, over to you.
Yeah, so let's begin by grounding ourselves in the global education landscape, as you can see here. So when we talk about preparing students for global careers, it's important to understand how different systems kind of align, and how the US model fits into that conversation as well. So this chart compares the Indian NEP system with the US kindergarten to 12th grade, IB and and the UK model. So while the names vary, as you can see, class 10, grade 10, year 11, the age alignment is pretty consistent. For the Indian class 12, it aligns with the US grade 12, which we also call it the senior year. And the IB and Cambridge tracks overlap well, but their assessments will differ. The takeaway here is that while the grade structures are similar across the systems, what truly sets the US model apart, especially at the high school level, and Brian spoke about this as well, is the learning experience itself. So in the United States, excuse me, students aren't just memorizing for exams, but they're applying that knowledge through projects. I'm trying to think, through projects, collaborating across subjects, and building portfolios that reflect their growth. It's a more holistic, personalized approach that develops critical thinking and real-world readiness, like Suba was explaining as well. So we go to the next slide. Let's see. Is that the next slide? Okay. Yep. Okay. So now let's look at how these systems assess learning and determine qualifications. So the Indian boards, and Suba can speak more upon this, but it really focuses on high-stake exams with percentage marks as the credentials. IB and Cambridge use letter grades based on board-assessed coursework. The U.S. public schools follow the state standards, standardized tests, and is measured by grade point average, GPA. But U.S. private schools like CHS offer something more, so flexibility, which is super important, enrichment, and innovation. So with CHS, students are evaluated through a blend of project-based learning, digital tools, and real-world application. We like to call this horizontal learning or horizontal thinking, where students' knowledge goes across subjects, not just study in silos. And this is where the U.S. model truly excels. It's not just about what students are learning, but how they're learning. The U.S. has long pioneered educational technology, embedding platforms like Google Classroom, portfolio-based assessments, which we spoke about earlier, and flexible instructional tools directly into the learning process. So students are just earning their grades, but they're building that academic story, one that reflects their creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking. Suba, did you want to add to that? Did I get everything? Or Brian?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just one point regarding the board. So like I know this is probably a frequent question. So sort of if you want to go back one slide to slide number 4, yeah. So the point to note here is that there is a board concept which is prevalent in the Commonwealth countries, right? Where the board sets an exam, a standardized exam, everybody takes that, and that decides, who is a better student. But that is true to a certain extent for US private schools, but except that there are no boards, right? The schools set their own assessment standards depending on the customized curriculum, right? And the schools, of course, this is very high standard because they are also accredited not by one agency, which is a board, for example, but 4 or 5 agencies. So the quality and the rigor is much higher, but the schools have the flexibility, and that's very important because then the exams are actually technology can be used to personalize it depending on the curriculum choice and depending on the candidate, right? And the other important aspect is it's not one exam at the end of 10 years, which I faced. Like I was assessed by the board at the end of grade 10 and end of grade 12, right? Here it's more of a formative versus summative assessments, right? So here, short story is in US, the assessment is pretty much ongoing, right? So there's less pressure on the student.
Right. The other part of that is that, especially at CHS, we focus on mastery. We want to make sure when we give you a credit that you have demonstrated mastery of the subject matter each and every step of the way. We don't want to wait till you get to grade 10 or whatever to learn that you didn't master the subject. We want to see that all along the way, just like you were in a workforce. You want to see that your employees are growing each and every step of the way, not until we get to the end of a project and realize it's a complete bust. So that's where we kind of take that workforce, that business model, and input it into our educational assessment and curriculum system. Dr. Perez, do you want to talk about the U.S. high school, or do you want me to talk about this one?
I'll join with you. Go ahead. You can start it.
Okay. So with the U.S. high school diploma, basically how we set this up is we monitor, as far as the curriculum, we look at something called Carnegie Unit, which is the average amount of time that a student would spend when we talk at all parts of the course, from assessment to reading the curriculum to studying, all of that. And for a 1 credit course, which is basically 1 credit hour in the US, that should equal around 120 to, we try to keep it around 120 credit hours to 130. Now, every student is unique. Will it take every single student 120 exact hours to complete a course? No. Some students may move faster, some students may take longer, and it could be different depending on the subject level, because as you all know, we all have our favorite subjects, and that's what we want to work on. And the other ones that we don't like, we dread, like going to the dentist. So everything is a little bit different. The other nice thing that we have always built, this is a key foundation of the U.S. education system, and our founder, Dr. Etter, takes it to a whole nother level. No matter if I have one student that's interested in it or I got 200 students interested in it, we're going to offer that course. Because that course, even if it's just for one student, might change their life. That might be the subject area that they are going to excel in. They may go to college in. So we offer so many courses, and we don't have it contingent based off of the number of enrollments and everything. And that is a founding principle of Citizens High School, and Dr. Perez, they agree because of that, building block to what a future career may be. Now, dual qualifications. This is where I came into play. It's getting the dual diploma, because if we're going into business, like if you were going into the IT industry, what makes you stand out from the crowd? Having all these different certifications, a Cisco certification, a CompTIA certification, all that. The more certifications, the better. You stand out. That's the same thing. But what I said is, okay, what's the way in which we can have more qualifications, but not put a huge burden on the student, on the parents? How do we integrate all these different learning and education models that we have out there without putting overburden? And that's where we came up with the dual diploma program. And what it is it's at a minimum, the student takes 6 US-based or US curriculum courses, and they can integrate that throughout their secondary years. So maybe they take 1 in 9th or 2 in 9th grade, 1 in 10th grade, 2 in 11th grade, and 1 in 12th grade. That's fine. And so it is the student is getting that US high school diploma. At the same time, they're getting their local diploma from their local brick and mortar school, or maybe their local or their national online school. And they have an additional qualification that they can put on their academic record. And it makes them stand out from the crowd. And we have heard this, especially from U.S. college admissions counselors. They absolutely love it because it gives them an apples to apples comparison now. Okay, you know how to learn in a U.S. education system. The other part is I don't have to worry about your English level because you've learned from an English accredited school. Huge benefits there. It takes out that guesswork for an admissions counselor. Just a little bit of backdrop about CHS. We offer 2 diplomas. We offer a 24 credit diploma. We call that the college diploma. And that is for students that are on a college-bound track. It follows the academic pathways set forth by Common Core. We actually have higher standards than most public schools as to what courses we require. The other nice part about that is if you were to go to our website, we say you need to take 4 math courses. A lot of the public schools will say, well, no, you need to take this specific math course and this specific math course and that one. We want to grant those students that flexibility. Maybe you're looking to go on an engineering track, then you need to be focusing on trigonometry, analytical geometry, all of that, less so on the algebraic component. So we want that flexibility of what those 4 math courses are for each student's interest areas. We do the same thing in science, and we do the same thing in social science. Let the student tailor their education to their needs. And I'm going to talk a little bit about one case study in particular. It was a girl from New Delhi. She was in the New Delhi public schools, and she wanted to get a dual diploma. And she knew. Now, granted, she knew from watching television, she was going to be a lawyer. That was her life dream. What was the first course she signed up for at CHS? Legal studies. She goes to the course. She loves the course. Doesn't want to be a lawyer anymore. Says that's not her career. It was a good course, but no, that's not her career. Second course, okay, I'm not going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be a psychologist. She takes our psychology course. She gets done with the course, love the course. Nope, definitely don't want that to be my career field. Third, she takes software, a programming course. Absolutely loves it, wants that to be her career. She takes more courses. She takes a robotics course. I think she took AP Calculus and a couple others. Gets her dual diploma, enrolls in King's College in London, and is majoring in computer science. That when Dr. Perez talks about horizontal learning, that's the component right there. That's why we do what we do, to help students learn and get those different opportunities available to them, so that they can start their career ground running and don't be like me, who first started off working with the PGA Tour and somehow now is in education. So maybe a little bit more direct path than these winding paths that we took when we were younger.
That's a great transition.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Okay, I'm going to be the enthusiastic counselor here, and I'm going to ask something that I saw on the slide. So it says you can finish, for example, dual qualification, 6 credits, 0 to 4 years. Does that mean you can finish it in less than 1 year? 0, does that mean that?
Yes. Yeah. So CHS courses are designed to be completed in about 18 weeks. They are self-paced, but the average student completes in about 18 weeks. So if a student were to take 2 courses at a time over 3 18-week periods, they would actually finish in less than 1 year. And we have several students who have accomplished that or are doing that right now. Or the counter of that is take 1 course at a time per year, go as slow as you want and get it, but you got to get it done in 4 years. I mean, eventually you do have to get it done.
Got it. So this is in alignment with whatever you're doing already in your Indian school. You can, on top of that, study more subjects from FGA CHS, right?
Exactly. And I always like working with India because India and the US do, especially at the academic core level, they line up very nicely. I mean, the chart did a great job of demonstrating that. And, we have always said, let the brick and mortars do what they do best. Let them have the labs at their schools. Let them teach the math face to face. We'll teach their elective courses. We'll give them that sampling, shall we say, of different career areas, and then they tack that on to their US diploma. They're really the one academic core area that most students will take with CHS is US history, which it just makes sense.
Yeah, one thing I would like to add, like a few of our students, so few, as Brian mentioned, they finish it, they take it nice and easy and finish it over 4 years. Few finish it in 1 year time. But even the ones who finish it in 1 year, there are 2 types of students I've seen. One who are steady, they work 365 days, give or take 1 to 2 hours per week is what they invest, and they finish it. But there are a few who are the champion sprinters, not the marathons. So what they do is they finish the entire program in the summer vacation, right? In 2 months, they just jam everything, cram everything, and they finish it. So yeah, that's another thing to add.
So you're telling us that there have been cases where students have been able to go through these courses very quickly because of their past preparation or the time that they had on their hands.
Yeah, Indian student, DPS student, like I'm quoting real students, DPS students from India, CHS program, 6 credits. Yeah, and not just one. I can remember 10 or 11 of them actually.
Okay, shall we move to the next slide then, guys?
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit on the benefits of the global diploma. It is recognized across the globe. I've given several examples here where this isn't just, because oftentimes what I'll hear is, we love the US dual diploma, but my students aren't going to the United States. Okay, that's fine. Okay, they can go elsewhere. It's not this US only thing. We've had students go to, as I said, go to King's College. We've had students go to the University of London. We've had students go to an engineering school in Germany. We've had University of Cyprus. All across the globe, these students are going to the universities. This isn't an exclusive club to the United States. So does it benefit if you're going to the United States? Yes, but it's not exclusive just to those students. I always like to make that point perfectly clear. The other thing is, let's say you have an IB student. At first, I always thought, well, why would I ever talk to an IB school? That's pretty kind of comparison. IB, US, Cambridge, okay, they're all set. We actually, at CHS, we have an exclusive partnership with the IB associations of Ecuador, with the IB associations of Colombia, the Caribbean, etc. And what they're saying is, come on over. Now, students actually in those countries, they're earning 3 diplomas, an IB diploma, a US diploma, and the local diploma, because they want their students to be distinguished. They want the students to stick out, whether they're going to European universities or to American universities. So it really does help. We've talked to college agents, and they say these kind of students, they stick out because that school, whatever that school's offering that's challenging, that student's going after it. And it shows initiative, and they love that. The other part about this is, and I already hit on this, the large breadth of courses that are offered, from STEM, health sciences, IT. Those are really our 3 big areas. And I know this question came up in the chat, and it was perfect timing. Do these courses apply to college credits? Yeah, the answer to that is, like always, yes and no. We have certain courses that are specifically just high school level courses and only count for high school credit, and that's all well and good. At CHS, we do also offer what we call dual credit courses. These are courses generated by the college and taught by professors who have college level credentials. So when that student completes the course, they get a credit from CHS on their transcript, and they will also at that point have a college transcript from that college that is transferable to any college within the United States outside of Harvard, Yale, the Ivy League, because they don't take anybody's credits. They only take their own. So yes, we do have college available credits. We do have some AP courses. I know some of y'all are familiar with AP. We're going to be adding more of those. We're actually going to be adding our own AP courses here shortly. We also have the ability with FGA. They have a nice system that allows them to build a portfolio of work. And that's one of the things that colleges want to see. They want to see, okay, we see from your transcript, you know this academically. Great. But what can you produce with that? What goods, what services can you produce? And that's where these portfolio building and these building of industry credentials and certifications and even micro certifications, that's the next thing. When we were in the 90s and 2000s, it was about, well, what extracurriculars were you doing? What were you doing outside of class? Well, the next thing, the 2020s, this is going to be credentials and micro credentials. What do you know? What industry skills do you know? And the other part about this, the other benefit is, this is very low cost. A lot of these programs, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, sometimes that's per year. CHS, FGA, we're half that. We want to bring this to everybody. Everybody should have access to highest quality of education. It's a founding principle of me. It's a founding principle with FGA. And so I think that's one of these are the top reasons why people should take the dual diploma program.
So I had a quick question. You talked about micro credentials and having other credentials. So let's say, there's an Indian student who's really interested in photography, and that photography is just not available as an academic subject in the curriculum that they're in. Right. So let's say they take the digital photography or any other kind of photography which is available from FGA, CHS, and it comes on and they clear the program, and you give them the transcript which says digital photography. Do you think that official transcript from FGA, CHS holds more water or has more value when a college admissions counselor or admissions team is evaluating a student's profile, as compared to doing a digital photography course from, let's say, a small private training center somewhere?
Yeah, because what it is, I would say it has more weight because every one of our courses are independently evaluated and credentialed through our accrediting body. So it's not us saying it's a good photography course. It's an independent evaluator. And the other part about this is, just to continue that on, that thought process, we have that not just from our accrediting body, but like our IT courses, our health science courses, they're all designed for you to take that knowledge to a industry certification exam and get a third-party industry certification from the leading industry credentialing organizations such as CompTIA, such as Cisco, NCBT in the health sciences. All of these are available to you. That's where it shows, like, yeah, this is the real deal. Don't take it from us. Take it from independent third parties.
Right. Excellent. Guys, should we move on to the next slide? Okay.
Yeah, and then kind of this is just a nice little snapshot of some of our success stories. These are where our graduates have gone on to. You're going to recognize some of these names. There's some big name schools here: Boston College, Texas A&M, Rutgers University, University of London. Like I was saying, we send students all York University in Canada. All across the globe, our graduates are heading to some of the top universities throughout the United States and globally. And we constantly, this is just a little sample. If I had all 29,000 graduates here, this thing would be like very, very tiny little microscope. So this is just a small sampling, but I wanted you guys to kind of see where all of our graduates have gone on to.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to kind of add to this is, so essentially, if somebody, and that's where our mentoring process comes into play, if somebody is very nicely selecting their 6 credits or 12 credits, whatever program that they select, right, they are able to reduce some or do some of the university or college level programs or credits upfront, upstream, right, while they're at school. What that does is it on one side enhances their portfolio and increases their admission probability, which all of us know. But what we do not consider, it reduces their tuition fees as well, right? That's the other part. So AP credit and all of that. That's one important area that we should, yeah, get into. Yeah.
Okay, so essentially, if you invest in a college transfer credit right now, then essentially the tuition fees in college will be lowered. So that's future savings. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's the dual credit that Brian was actually talking about. So then they do not need to invest. And the other byproduct, and there are a lot of good side effects. The other byproduct is I get to finish my undergrad sooner than my peers, right? Because I'm doing fewer credits than them, right? So I can do more of part-time jobs and practicalities of life, right? I can do more of part-time jobs, I can earn more, and thus kind of I can spend less in the US while I'm a student. So these are a lot of things that most people miss out.
Excellent. Okay, so now I would like to invite Bharat who heads IBOS in India, which is Indo Bharat Online School, and he offers the NIOS curriculum. Bharat, I think this is the time when we would like you to explain in your own words as to why you were exploring, offering the American high school diploma to Indian students. What are the, some of the other things that we might not have covered so far that you would like to highlight, and just your understanding overall?
Great. Excellent presentation, first of all, Brian and Mrs. Roseanne. You've touched to a very important points where it's very important to understand as to why would a student go for US high school diploma, because let's say he's doing a regular brick and mortar. So what's the value addition which you guys are giving, which would provoke them to actually take this? So the NIOS curriculum which we are running has got incredible potential. We've had students attending leading colleges, not only in India as well and outside as well. The reason why we really wanted to explore something which is beyond NIOS is because there have been reservations against this curriculum in some countries, like let's say Australia has had some reservations against the NIOS curriculum. US has been pretty much open. There have been no reservations so far, and many of our students have already been attending the leading colleges. We've had reservations in the UK as well, when they're required to do a foundation year, and that's when a parent would or a student would just consider doing something which is direct, like they don't want to do the foundation program. There is cost, there is time, there's so much things involved in that. So they just want to do something which gets them a direct access to the university program. So I believe having this option available for our students is really handy, because in that case, we can offer them something wherein if the NIOS curriculum, let's say, is not, acceptable or is not working out, we can probably, tell them the benefits which this diploma has. And the benefit of it having, like Brian mentioned, that we can have the exams, anytime across the year. It depends on the student's rigor as to he wants to take all the credits together. They want to do it step by step. So this also, so I believe that having this flexibility, having these options available to the students, depending on the academic criteria, depending on the academic considerations, I believe this curriculum can actually be a game changer for many of our students out there. And having it through IBOS, because we've been in this online segment from a while, we've had the trust of incredible counselors. We're only working through them. The mode is pretty much set. So, having it delivered through the IBOS platform adds more value and adds more recognition. And we are actually out there to deliver it to the students, like our school has that mission of being student-centric. So it's going to remain the same. And we can actually, give them a lot of options, like I mentioned earlier.
That's excellent. So, Bharat, do you see a lot of alignment happening for Indian schools? Because you deal with a lot of Indian school students coming from CBSE, ICSE, state boards. In your research, when you were going through, this association, did you see that the alignment, or was there, between the curriculums on the practical side? And did you see any challenges that Indian students could face, or it was, something that is easily manageable, or, what is your understanding of that?
So when I actually took this program, when I actually dive deep into what exactly it offers. So we had a pretty much clear understanding of why would a student pick this curriculum. The student is going to pick the US high school diploma only and only if they want the admissions abroad globally. If they want it in India, then they have the NIS curriculum with them. So, we're pretty much focused and we're pretty much clear in what we're going to do. So if a student wants to, explore education overseas, then I would believe this curriculum can actually be more beneficial as compared to the NIOS. But if they want to be focused in the Indian curriculum, like after grade 12, they want to do the Indian curriculum, they want to do an Indian university, then I would think NIOS would definitely be more helpful over here. So we've had our priorities set up pretty straight. And of course, the subjects which the diploma offers, I believe that the student has already studied that subject earlier. So I'm sure with Indian students, definitely there's not going to be much problem because they've already studied that earlier. And it's like, I mean, of course, I would love Brian or Mr. Roseanne to actually shed some light on the curriculum later on, as well as how the question papers are, because as far as I've understood, it's MCQs. So, it's actually makes it very easier for the student to attempt something which they've already studied, and they can apply that in this curriculum as well.
Brilliant. So this brings up a very important point, and it was Subhayu who actually introduced that to us. Subhayu, would you like to talk about which curriculums are accepted by Indian universities internationally and domestically? Which curriculums are not accepted by Indian universities?
Yeah, so Indian universities, the curriculum that are accepted there's a clear circular by AIU. I can share that circular as well. AIU has given guidelines per country, and of course, US curriculum is accepted. And a citizens high school and a US citizen studying in US citizens high school with a citizens high school FGA citizens high school certificate is eligible for studies. But unfortunately, if you are an Indian student studying in India with that same certification, you're not eligible because AIU prohibits any student that to get a education qualification online sitting in India. AIU doesn't allow that. So essentially, even if you do IB or Cambridge, let me put it that way, or US high school, doesn't matter, or whatever, if it is done online and it is an international curriculum, AIU says it's not equivalent for Indian universities.
Excellent.
But as I mentioned, the irony is that a US student or any other country student with that same certification is fully eligible to study in the same Indian university.
All right. Well, I'm now going to open the floor for questions. I know a lot of you have, typed in a lot of questions. So I was trying to answer some of them, but I think I might not be able to answer all of them by, typing. So please raise your hands and we can, go ahead with your questions as well. And then, I think Anjali and Zigna Zaveri, they're all asking questions. So if you guys would like to, open your mics and maybe ask this question.
Yeah, there's one I've seen around without any particular order around assessments has been continuously. Brian did touch upon it, but to quickly mention, and Brian, if I'm wrong, to correct me. But the assessments are done per course continuously. There is no end of year assessment as such, waiting for a big paper with a big stamp on the top. That's the Indian way. That's not the US way, right? So it is per lesson. It's a continuous assessment of and then of course there is if you have questions before the end of the lesson, you can reach out to there is the AI bot, as Brian mentioned, right? But in the second level, you can also reach out to your teacher, and that's kind of pretty much one-on-one, right? Brian, if you want to add more, if anything I've missed.
That touches on it perfectly. Like, is there a final exam in the course? Yes, but that's not the be all end all result. That is just a percentage component of the overall grade. So everything else we continuously assess all the way through, and we do different types of evaluation. It is not just a summative evaluation, multiple choice examination. It is project-based. It is critical thinking. It is analysis. We are going to evaluate you in all different methods and manners to make sure that you do have a complete understanding of the content.
I have another question. Of course, it was asked by a few other counselors. So, which is that can I retake the end of lesson assessment, the MCQ, if I didn't do well, and can I retake it?
Repeat the question again.
Can I retake a end of lesson assessment?
Yes. So let's say whatever happened. I've heard all the excuses and the reasons. Something happens and you score low, you don't complete it, whatever. Yes, you do get depending on the examination. Now, in the final exam, there are no retakes. But throughout the every other assessment, yes, you get 2 to 3, I think 2 retakes on the assessments. The main number one reason is because they used AI and just copied and pasted, and that's not learning. That's just a technical computer skill.
Okay, so I'm going to invite Ritu. She has raised her hand. Ritu, please do ask a question.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for bringing this here, Saurabh, and it's a wonderful learning here. I've got 2 questions, and I will ask them, and then you can choose to answer. My first question is, as Bharat mentioned, and also Subhayu, for Indian board students who are doing, say, a CBSE or ISC or a state board or NIOS through IBOS, the US high school diploma program that FGA and Citizen High School is going to offer, it's an additional thing, right? It is not so for an Indian student to go for a US high school diploma online, they must be studying an Indian curriculum as well. Am I correct in my understanding? They must be doing that for them to be acceptable in the Indian universities context, and also to be acceptable in for FGA and Citizen High School diploma. They need to be studying Indian curriculum at some level. That is what I want to understand.
Okay, it's a fully loaded question, so let me break it into 2 use cases, right? So if I'm an Indian student, let's say I have passed my grade 10 board exams, whatever board exam it is, right? State board, CBSE, NIOS, etc. Grade 10, right? I have 2 more years, and I decide that I will not study in India, whatever come, right? Then there is an option to do a 12 credit program full time only with CHS FGA.
Okay.
And I do not need to do, because I'm clear I will not study in India. There is another case where I want to pursue my Indian, I'm not too sure that I will not study or not study in India. If given a chance, I would want to go abroad, but I would want to keep my Indian options open. For them, it's advisable to continue with the Indian education, whether it is NIOS, whether it is their brick and mortar school, etc., and do a 6 credit dual diploma. Does that answer?
Yes, it does. The second question, and thank you so much for this clarification. The second question is, I understand that when you're doing an online program from the US college, school, university, you don't need the F1 visa unless and until there is a requirement of you to go there and spend some time, right? So it's fully online and there is no requirement for visas at all to study in this curriculum. Yeah. Yes.
Correct.
Oh.
Correct.
All right. And my last question, I'm so sorry to the cohort who's attending this, but yes, one last question that I have is, if a child wants to, say, for example, the child is doing IBCP, the certificate, not the IBCP actually, not IB career related program, but IB certificate program, which is not which is not valid or not accepted in many universities. For them, it's very important to do some additional high school diploma. For in that regards, this US high school diploma will work along with the IB certificates, right? And with that regards, they will be able to take the credit of high school diploma, say AP English course or AP certain courses, they will be able to take credit in the universities. Correct. Okay.
Yes, because they're doing the program AP courses in the CHS portal. So
yes, so they will be able to take those credits. And in
Yes.
terms of if somebody wants to kind of fill up the prerequisites required, for example, in Indian curriculum, sometimes math is not there in 11th and 12th. You have that option to leave math in 11th and 12th in Indian curriculums, and they want to get that prerequisite cleared through this high school diploma courses. they can just choose to do algebra 3, algebra 4, or whatever the courses are, and cover up their prerequisites for the university requirement. Will that be allowed? Just taking 2 or 3 courses.
Short answer again, yes. So you can choose between just taking a 6 credit dual diploma. So after the 6 credits, you get a diploma, or after a 12 credit, you get a diploma, or you can choose a single credit, but you do not get a diploma.
Okay.
Or means you do not get a high school, US high school diploma, but you can do a 6 credit, right? So, which is better than doing the same course elsewhere, because as Brian mentioned, this is a course that follows the US standards, that follows the US Common Core standards. It's accredited, so the transcript will still make a lot of sense to the admission counselor or the admission officer, and they are not guessworking. Oh, what is NIIT? Did they even study something there? You know.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That clarifies a lot of things.
Thank you so much, Ritu. I mean, Ritu is one of our most experienced counselors, so that's why she was asking so many questions. What I have understood as a counselor in this understanding journey, and what I've understood is every student's case is going to be different, and this provides a solution to their specific challenges. So if you could give a specific case, and then a dual diploma may be useful, a full diploma may be useful, and those things can be discussed. So that is how I see the American diploma, adding value to our Indian students. Okay, I'm quickly going to go to Varun now. Varun, please go ahead.
Hi everyone. I have a couple of questions as well. One is that does your schooling also provide counselors for getting into colleges after you complete your education? In 12th, do you provide counselors also?
So, Varun, is your question related to do they provide education counselors, like independent education counselors?
Yeah. Career counselor or education counselor to get into colleges. Like my son wants to pursue basketball predominantly. So he wants to get into a good basketball integrated college in the US. So will there be a counselor appointed to help him or to guide him into selecting which colleges to go to in the US once he completes his education in this format?
So that's where FGA and CHS partnership actually comes in. So we have tie-ups with a lot of independent counselors, right? And we can, on a case-to-case basis, we can nudge them to the right counselor, because some counselors specialize in medical, some in sports, etc. But short answer is yes. And for them also, there are like the NCAA approved programs which will really help them become professional athletes if he or she wants to pursue that track.
All right. So, okay, that's one. Second is for basketball, what sort of accreditation is required for in your school? I mean, what accreditation is required? Is NCAA the only accreditation required for students who are pursuing sports?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. That's my wheelhouse right there. NCAA, while not the only body, it is the largest. It's probably it represents 90%. The other there's a few other ones: NAIA, NJCAA, NCSAA, but they're smaller. The major one being the NCAA. We deal with both the NCAA as far as eligibility. We also deal with NAIA, which is number 2. You take those two together, that's going to cover about 97% of the colleges in the United States. Now, this brings me to my second point, where I talk about we have a course for pretty much everything. I have designed a course called Student Athlete Readiness Course. And so your student who's interested in basketball, this would be the perfect course because it walks them through eligibility. It walks them through what to expect when they get to a US college, time management, NIL, all these things, the recruiting process, being academically eligible. This is what I talk about with CHS. We have that course for almost every possible scenario. So yes, I think CHS would be a great fit for this student.
All right. Thank you. One other question. My wife is also here. She also wants to.
Hi, my name is Reema. I have a directed question with regards to understanding the credit system. Please pardon me. I have groomed and grown up in the Indian way of education, and hence understanding this credit system is a little difficult for me. So our son now is getting into grade 10. Assuming we enroll him into an American online schooling, which is say with CHS. Over the course of his 10th grade, 11th, and 12th, he will need to complete 24 credits in order to be eligible for an undergraduate program in the US. Is that understanding correct?
Yeah, he would need the 24 credit program to be academically eligible for the NCAA. Yes, and they are very specific on what those 24 courses, and the easiest way, especially on credits, one credit equals one course in the United States to make it kind of a lot easier to understand.
Right. So are there mandatory credits here or mandatory courses here, and then there are electives? How does it work? So when you say 24 credits, the simple math is 6 credits per year.
Yep.
So say
What
for
I'll
10,
do what I'll do real quick to help you out, in the chat, I'm going to put a link to a PDF from the NCAA that maps out exactly the courses that they would need to take to be eligible. And even if they have taken 2 years in India, that's not a problem. We can map it out and kind of knock out what courses would be remain to be taken to make sure that they're academically eligible.
And the APs and the other specialized courses would be over and above these 24 credits.
That's correct. That's correct. The AP courses, all that stuff, they would count just the same. That for NCAA, they count the same. So whether you take AP US history or just regular US history, to them it makes no difference. For the universities, they like it. It makes their students look better the more AP or dual credit that they take. But for academic eligibility, it makes
Sorry, one last question. Are there courses that are structured around sports management, business management? I'm assuming there would be. Apart from the regular English, math, science, social science, I'm sure there would be courses oriented towards business studies, say sports management, or so on and so forth.
Yeah, we have all sorts of sports-focused courses, and that's able to be built into the program. We have a sports medicine course. We have sports and entertainment marketing. We have, physical education. We have wellness. We have nutrition. We have an entire pathway that can be wrapped around a sports-focused student.
And how is this program valued by universities in Australia? So I did hear about your success stories in Europe, in the UK.
Reema, I would request you to please be closer to the mic.
Right. Is this any better?
Yeah.
So,
yes.
What is your track record with placing students in Australia as a geography? Because I largely heard about Europe, I largely heard about America, Canada, and the UK.
Right. I didn't get that one.
Yeah, so her question is, how many students do you know from, FGA, CHS who have gone on to Australian universities to pursue their college education?
We've gone on to Australian universities. It's been a little while. It's been a few years. That's probably one of the least areas where we get students, though I have heard nothing but high praise of Australian universities. Our main focus has always been in North American universities and European universities. But I do know we've had a couple students that have gone on to Australia.
Right. Okay.
We actually had a student athlete. They didn't go to an Australian university. They were from Australia. They went to a U.S. university, but they won the Australian Open, junior Australian Open in tennis. So,
Okay, that's interesting.
So maybe Rima, I can probably put that question to rest by saying that it's accepted in Australian universities. The
Right,
American high
right,
school diploma is accepted,
right.
just like any other high school diploma.
But they may need some additional top-up courses, like like say a foundation year or something like that, that may need to be done.
So
It's
depends
kind of
on
hard
the-
to say without looking at the transcript.
Got it.
But
Got it.
I
Okay.
will. I'll have that PDF here in just a second. It'll be in the chat, and then that will show you exactly the specific courses that are required.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And also, it depends on the college program that you're looking at in Australia. The university might have some specific requirements. So if you could share that, as I said earlier, this is a solution for Indian students. So if you have a very specific, situation, then a solution can be created because there are multiple programs that offer over here, which is all based on the foundation that American high school diploma is accepted everywhere in the world. Okay, I would like to invite Anjali to ask her questions because she had some very specific questions. And Anjali, if you're there, Anjali Goyal.
Yes. Hi, Saurabh. So I think most of my questions have been answered. So one was about, are these courses being graded? So I think Brian has already answered that, that it is an ongoing process and the final assessment will be a part of the grade. So as of now, I think I also texted Bharat, and Bharat was very kind enough to answer my questions. So as of now, I'm good. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for giving me this opportunity.
Excellent. I would also like to invite Kanchan because she's been asking quite a few questions. Kanchan, would you like to ask?
Thank you, Saurabh. And it's been lovely to be here listening to all this conversation for the past 10 hours. It was engrossing. Thank you, all of you, for giving us such insightful information. I do get a lot of queries from certain career professionals, maybe who have dropped out, after due to some medical reasons or some financial reasons or something, coming from Indian boards or IB irrespective. So is there any specific age criteria, or these dropouts can also take up these courses and look for admissions abroad?
That more sounds like a Brian question.
Oh, can y'all repeat? I was putting in the chat answers, so sorry, I'm trying to.
Yeah, sure. So is there any age criteria, Brian, for somebody to enroll in FGA CHS?
Oh, that's a great question. I love it. So no, age, no. Grade level, yes. So there is a minimal grade level. They have to be at least into the 8th grade of education to enroll at CEHS. Is there a maximum age limit? No. I actually attended a graduation ceremony with a 92-year-old. So there is no maximum age.
So you mean I can also enroll into a American?
Oh, you're nowhere near that age. You're fine.
Okay. So basically, again, coming back to the previous question. So when you said that basic grade level is required. So like for Indian admissions, you generally require a gap certificate, when you are enrolling into a UG. So doing these diplomas, would you require any gap certification, and you would be mapping the student with their basic level of understanding, or, because it could be sometime like 8 years or 4 years since they've dropped out of school.
Yeah, so really we don't require any kind of gap as with their transcripts. We just need whatever high school level transcripts or courses they have taken, whether they were 1 year ago or 10, 20 years ago. That's fine. There's no reason. We do have one thing available to a student. Maybe you have a student who is a little unsure of their academic ability. They were great, 5 years ago or whatever, but not sure. We do offer an admissions exam. It's free of charge that they can take that kind of exposes them to the type of questions that they would be seeing. We would gladly offer that to the student if it made them feel better to see kind of the level of questions that they would be taking. So, but no, there's no gap requirements.
Thank you so much for your answers.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, anybody else who would like to ask a question? We've already gone over time, which is a good thing. But then, sorry to all the guests here for extending the time. I hope you guys don't mind. I think it's been an interesting conversation. Anybody else who would like to ask any last questions before we, close the session?
Yes, Saurabh, I would like to chip in. I just wanted to understand if there are any courses which can be done by students who are already enrolled in the undergraduate programs, or is it just for high school students?
Oh, repeat that last part.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand if you're offering any programs for students who are enrolled in undergraduate programs, or are the courses only meant for high school students?
So they're only meant for either high school students or, like I was saying earlier, adult students. We have considered dropping to lower grades, but at this time, let's just stick with high school students. And if there's any updates on that, we'll let everyone know. But yeah, one of the things that we have done before is that maybe you do have a student who's in the 7th or 8th grade and is considering potentially this. What we could possibly do, we would need them to take the admissions exam, but we could offer them like an individual course just to kind of dip their toe in the water to try it. And if they like it, once they've entered that 9th grade of education, we could then put them into the full program. That is something that we've done for very advanced younger students. That's kind of how we handle that policy.
Brian, this question was for, thank you for answering that as well, but this question was meant for students who are currently in their college. To someone who is doing a bachelor's program, do you have...
Oh, they're in a bachelor's. Oh. We've never had that.
Might be a good opportunity to, expand your business.
Well, what we could do is, especially if it's like a certification course,
yes,
I would see that possibility happening. They want to get a industry certification or something like that. They would be able to take those type of courses. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, yeah, the short answer is yes. So it will count as a single credit. But as Brian mentioned, I have had one such case. So where it's an industry certification course essentially. So Cisco and other things. So they get it very cheap here compared to the same third party outside because we are a school. So that's again something to consider.
So I had one question, because I've been reached out by a lot of parents regarding this, that what if the student wants to complete all 12 credits? I understand it's a little bit on the higher side, but let's say they're ready to complete all the 12 credits in a month or so, for example. How would the academic year look like on the mark sheet? Because I'm talking about grade 11th and 12th put together. So let's say they've already completed the 11th, but not satisfied, or they want to change the subject, or there's something which is bothering them for the university's admissions point of view. So let's say they want to do all the 12 credits together at one go, let's say in a month from now. How would the academic year, how would the progression appear on the mark sheet? Because I've had a lot of queries regarding this. So it's always good to, get it clarified.
So yeah, Brian, again, keep me honest, but the transcript is a 24 credit high school diploma transcript, right? Once you meet the eligibility criteria for the 12th credit program, which is you have a 10th certificate, which you have, and presumably your question is maybe the 10th certificate was 1.5 years back or 2 years back, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So I'm knocking the doors of my grade 12 now, and I want an additional degree or additional diploma for my US high school or whatever other universities, right? So short answer, yes, it's it is dependent on the student on how fast and how much time they have and how much time they can dedicate to complete these 12 or 6 credit. That's number one, right? And once they do that, the transcript doesn't give them the timestamp, right? Saying this is the time that they have completed each of the credit. The transcript confirms that it is being vetted that they have completed the 24 credits.
Okay. So let's say 2023 was grade 10th. So it's not going to be like 2024 grade 11th and 2025 grade 12th. It's going to be 2025, 24 credits. Like the academic year, 2025 would show 24 credits. That's it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's really kind of what it looks like. So when we produce a transcript, it is not based off of academic calendar years. It is one transcript, and it will show, in this case, this use case where you had a student complete up to through grade 10 in India. It'll show those courses on our transcript, the name of the school, the course, and it just says TR, which is transfer credit. It doesn't have any dates on that. And then it would show all the courses that he completed in the United States, as well with the credits. But it's just a list of those 24 courses. It's not broken up by any kind of academic calendar.
Got it. Great. Thanks. This is helpful. This is really helpful.
All right, Bharat, I would like to ask you a question. Who would you recommend to, since you've been in this space for such a long time, what kind of student, Indian student, would you recommend the high school diploma to, in your experience?
I would say a student who's already applied to university through a previous, because they have to do it earlier, of course, before the results and the predictors and all have been submitted by the regular school. And if it's not meeting the criteria, in that case, I think this course really is helpful because they've already studied it earlier. So they're ready to reappear in those exams whenever the situation might arise. So I believe this would be really helpful for them who are looking for a transition and who are looking to fulfill that academic gap. And this actually acts as a bridge to get to that university. I would say students would be really benefited from that. And of course, let's say if a student is not meeting the subject criteria in the university, and it's too late for them to transfer it from that regular school already, in that case, they can do this so that subject criteria can be fulfilled. So I see a lot of students falling in that category as well.
Excellent. I think there are a lot of use cases, if we go into the technical side of things, or there are a lot of specific cases where, this can be helpful. And that is what the discussion has been over the last 2 months, between me and Subhayu, and then the three of us, Bharat, Subhayu, and I was just fascinated with this entire, offering. So that's why they have been kind enough to have me over as a moderator for this discussion. Well, I would love to thank Brian. Thank you so much for taking out your time, extra time actually, and answering all those questions so patiently and with lovely humor. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Dr. Perez, for again, coming here early morning in the US. I hope you have a nice coffee now after this session and joining. And thank you so much, Subhayu and Bharat, for organizing this wonderful collaboration. I wish you guys all the best. I think, a lot of counselors like myself have benefited from this discussion. And lastly, but not the least, thank you all the participants, all the counselors, educators, parents who have joined in, made this session worth it. Really, really brought in all the wonderful queries that you have. And I hope all of this have added a lot of value to your practices. Thank you so much.
Thank you.